Welcome back to the On the Brain podcast. I'm your host, Tanner, with Anthony and John as my co hosts today. And today we actually have to start off with some updates. The first update is that we are going to be releasing bi weekly on Saturdays instead of weekly like we originally planned, but that's just because we're busier than we thought. But hopefully you guys still listen because we love you all, and we'll see you every Saturday. Other than that, I guess we can wait till later to talk about, but what have you guys been up to?
Man, like you said, it's been a pretty busy the last few weeks. For me, it's like week 9 out of 10 for school. So like finals and everything's coming up. There's a lot of projects. Everything is coming to a T. So I've just been busy with that. Other than that, just been trying to hang out, trying to still see the sun, go outside, go on runs, things like that in my free time. But it has been very stressful. I haven't been able to, do the podcast as frequently. Uh, Not really streaming and things like that. So just a lot all at once.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know if this sounds sad or not, but the most sun I get is when I get to enjoy it on the freeway on my drive to work, from being indoors to going indoors, and I'm just like, this feels so nice. Soak it up while I can.
Yeah, I miss those walks between classes.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Like if I it's so hard because I mean it's so convenient, just being able to wake up a lot later, not have to drive, as much gas money and all that. Just it's
Oh,
very
absolutely.
convenient. But I miss, walking around campus and seeing just people walking around and just hanging out, and you'd run into people and have to strike up a conversation and all that. And especially when it's raining. I mean, we're in California, so I think we're all babies when it comes to rain and anything less than ideal temperature. But when it's raining, I do not miss walking to class. So
I will
that is a
say,
good
though,
feeling.
I am used to it. I do miss it too, though. I really enjoy the after rain smell that seems to come out.
True, true.
Do you guys
Yeah,
know what that
I
smell
love
is
the
called?
rain.
I would love to know.
The smell of
The
rain.
smell of wet concrete is called petrichor.
Sounds like a music genre.
I know, it's pretty
Petrichor.
cool.
That's crazy. I love that.
Where did you find this fact?
An old friend told me.
Mm,
Yeah.
Nice. And where are they now? Where is his
And
friend?
now, I don't know, somewhere in Morgan Hill.
Smelling petrichor.
Yep. What about you, John?
I have been busy with school and work. I did a lot of editing on the last episode. That one was a lot of fun, and I got a little better with my conceptualizations of outros and stuff. Studying your intro, actually, I was able to determine how to make a better outro that works, at least compared to the first draft. And then, just biology's been really fascinating, and I'm loving learning about science and evolution and DNA and viruses and bacteria, like all of these subjects. And with COVID happening, it's very interesting to learn about how all this stuff works so that, I can understand it all better.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't typically listen to the very end, John works very hard on creating our outros. He takes modular synths and he just makes some incredible music, and you can hear some of it at the end of each episode. It's about 30 seconds long. Go check it out. Please listen to the end.
Yeah, so just fast forward to the end of this podcast, go give that a quick listen, and then come right back.
It spoils the podcast. So if you wanna spoiler, uncontextualized spoiler where I mangle words up to say things, it's fun.
Nice.
Beautiful. Let's roll the intro.
Roll that intro, baby.
The brain.
So, something sad kind of happened. little sad, but it's okay.
no.
Life
It does.
happens. Our co-host Jacob is no longer able to join us regularly. He will be here part-time whenever he can make it, but he said that some complications got in the way and that he just won't be able to join us all the time, but that's okay. He will be missed.
Yeah, so we're just not going to be talking to him, outside of the podcast, really. We're all just kind of having that feud with him, so just not really.
He will be remotely shunned. Even if I do transfer to work at his Starbucks, I will not talk to him at all.
And I think
Yes,
that's appropriate.
as it must be. Only language spoken in the podcast is real.
But yeah, I think it's kind of relevant to talk about that. I feel like he had to put some priorities in place. I feel like life can throw a lot of stuff at us, and a lot of it just accumulates into stress. And I know, like, lately I've been really stressed, even though John was like editing this last week. I'm so thankful for it because I had to go through midterms and all that, and just life just really likes to throw you through the gauntlet sometimes.
Absolutely.
And definitely just having to find that motivation, like we talked about last episode, to do online school and pretty much online everything right now it's really hard, especially if you have to work on top of it.
Yeah, I am just waiting for that second dose at this point so that I can be still wearing a mask, but ready to just go and do stuff.
Oh, you got the vaccine?
I got my first dose of the Pfizer on last Tuesday. I don't know what day that was actually exactly, but I'm getting my second dose on the 23rd. So, yeah, just a sore arm for a day, but hopefully after the second one, I'll have a week or two to really build up the immunity and then ideally be able to go hang out with friends and stuff that have also been vaccinated or something. Who knows? We'll have to work it out.
Yeah, I've been looking into how these mRNA vaccines work. It's so interesting on the biological level how scientists were able to figure this out. I know that there is going to be another vaccine released soon by Johnson & Johnson,
Yep.
I think, which will be kind of the more classical vaccine, closer to kind of the flu shot, where they inject you with a similar heat-killed virus or some other way of kind of basically dead virus in a way, so that your body can build up antibodies that way. Very similar to a flu shot. But mRNA, which is the one that is kind of sparking controversy right now, it's actually not as invasive as people think it is. There's a lot of controversy with that. Like, people think it's changing our DNA, which it's not really doing. Basically, what is happening is we have taken mRNA from the SARS virus and the COVID virus, because they have these things on the outside of them. If you've ever seen the pictures, they have these weird kind of like tentacle-like structures on the outside, and those are what we refer to as the spike proteins. It's how they enter our cells and get into our DNA. So instead of injecting ourselves with a virus, we're actually taking the mRNA that helps those viruses create the spiked proteins around themselves. And so by giving this mRNA to our immune cells, starts with a D, they're called like dendrite cells or something like that. But basically the cells responsible for grabbing foreign objects and bringing it to other cells in our immune system, it gives them the mRNA to use enzymes within themselves to produce these spiked proteins. And so it's basically synthesizing them without actually changing the DNA. It's just using enzymes. And so those are then brought to T cells, which then the T cells get the information on what these spike proteins are. And then the T cells bring it to the B cells, which are antibodies, and can basically collect around white blood cells, I think, or storage.
And do the fighting.
Blood cells. Right. So they get the code of basically how these proteins are made, so that when they're attacking them, they can actually undo those spike proteins on the outside of the virus and render it useless. It's not killing the virus. It's not unraveling the DNA, but it is basically taking away its form of attack. And therefore it just has to die out in your body eventually.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and it's a creative way of solving the problem. And yeah, it fascinates me. And I just learned about all of this just 2 weeks ago in biology, going over the viruses and bacteria's chapter. And yeah, it's absolutely fascinating how it all works.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
dose.
Big brain. Big brain.
It really is.
Big cells beating little cells. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now.
The first dose is basically an immune booster. It tells your cells in your bone marrow to produce as many B cells as it can, because the B cells are the ones that hold the information about these spike proteins. So if we can produce a huge spike in B cells, then in about 2 or 3
When you
weeks,
have a whole bunch.
we'll have enough to where the information from the mRNA, which is the second dose, will have to be transferred to at least a majority of the B cells that we have. So we'll have a huge defense just waiting in our bone
That's
marrow.
crazy.
Wow.
But you were mentioning stressors earlier too. I think that's a good topic to talk about, how to handle stress, because everyone deals with stress, and I believe it's dealt with daily, and it can really pile on and add up if you don't handle it and work through it in correct or healthy ways, I'd say. What do you guys do? What are some tactics for relieving stress?
This reminds me of our podcast where we talked about motivation and staying motivated, because I think they're kind of one and the same. You know, when you have a lot of stress, you don't feel as motivated. So I think when you're stressed, it's very important to just kind of take a step back. Whatever is causing you stress, really just kind of internalize it and think, why is it giving you stress? You know, is it because of a time constraint? Is it because of a performance issue? So just really take a step back and analyze why you think it's giving you stress and step away from it. You know, do something else in the meantime and just internalize it. Let your mind either go free or think about it in the background while you're doing other things.
Great words of wisdom.
I try.
Yeah. You really can't say it better than that. Like, if you can identify what is causing you stress, then you can deal with it, I guess. But how do you identify it? Like, when you're stressed, you typically don't know.
It's just a feeling, you know?
Like, for at least for me, I deal with stress in a very different way, to where I convince myself that I'm not stressed until kind of the breaking point. And I realized that, I have been spacing out a lot. I have been neglecting my responsibilities. I've been, not talking to my friends, and I've not been eating well. And then I realize, I think I'm stressed.
And it can become this dangerous mountain of things and anxiety, and it adds up if you don't address it and deal with it. And I actually just watched a video that pointed that out, and in the context of specifically anxiety, and how you push those things away, and that's what makes them get bigger, and it's harder to deal with them. You just have to let it, happen. You got to acknowledge that you're feeling stressed or anxious and work through it. And there's tools and techniques for both. For me, anxiety is one that I have to struggle with. So remembering to breathe and distracting your mind is a great tool for letting it pass and accepting that it's happening and moving on. What you drinking there, Anthony?
My drink of choice for the week. I think last time I had a kombucha to share, and this time it is also a kombucha. This one, however, is a hard kombucha, so it is 5% ABV, and it is a mango guava lime tea infused
Fascinating.
kombucha. Again, it's locally made in my region, and it's going pretty well so far.
Is it called Pale Bird? Whale
That's it.
Bird? Whale bird.
Whale bird. Yeah, has a picture of a whale with wings, as whales normally do, and it's just riding high in the sun.
Do you think that has anything to do with the Red Bull giving you wings? Are they playing off of that?
Damn it, John, you genius.
Oh,
I never even considered that. You ruined it for me. Well, what are you drinking, John?
So I just finished mine right before the podcast, and I have a nice hearty cup of hydrogen and oxygen, but I will talk about this one that I've started drinking lately. It's been a long time since we've talked, and I've been going through some intense body problems and digestion and probably IBS or ulcers, internal bleeding and whatnot. Very scary, but I went on a liquid diet. And when I went on this like bone broth liquid diet, I was trying to reset. And then on the tail end of that, my dad was like, I drink this stuff called Huel, and it's liquid, so you're probably going to be able to digest it better than solid food, but it's got all of the nutrients that you need to replace a meal. And so it took me down this rabbit hole of meal replacements, and then I ended up trying it. I liked it, and then here we are. I have my own, and so it's the word fuel, but replaced with an H, Huel. And it's got everything you need for a meal. Gives you energy. Doesn't, it makes you feel full, but it doesn't give you a ton of energy off the bat so that you feel hungry and tired later. It kind of spreads it out like a normal balanced meal would, which is great. And yeah, that's my drink for the day. It's crazy.
Well, so you'll use that and you'll replace one of your meals for the day?
It's been replacing 1 to 2, sometimes
Wow.
2, pretty regularly for the past 2 weeks.
And one drink you said will replace 1 to 2, or you're making multiple
Yeah.
drinks?
I one drink per meal. So they have ready to drink bottles, which would be one meal, and I take those like to work because I have no options at Starbucks that are dairy and vegan or dairy and gluten free. Other than bananas, and I can't just keep eating bananas at work. So I take one if I'm working, and then I have the powder at home, and you can choose a 1 scoop or 2 scoops, and 2 scoops is a full meal. So you just shake it up with water and ice, and you're good to go. It's all vegan and gluten free. I have the chocolate and the vanilla powders. They're both pretty good. And then they also have a peanut butter flavor. They have a salted caramel, I believe a coffee. And they just came out with hot and savory versions, which are actual kind of like soups. They have like a Thai curry, sweet and sour, and like those ones have quinoa and stuff in it, so it's got like a bit more of a solid soupy like texture. It's crazy. But Tanner, I saw you also had a protein shake. What did you bring?
I do. I have an Atkins protein shake, except this one is iced coffee flavor. And it has caffeine in it, which is nice. It's got good source of protein. Got only like 3 net carbs. It's good for you. Got some fiber. It's weird. So these like Atkins drinks, I don't know. My mom has been drinking them for a while. I just kind of take them from the fridge. Pretty good. But like, there's a special diet called like the Atkins Diet or something. A way to count your carbs versus sugars. And basically, what you do is you take your fibers and your sugars. What is it? It's right here. It says total carbs is 8, and then you subtract your fibers, so the net carbs is 3 grams. I don't know if carbs and fibers actually cancel each other out, but that's what they're going for. But it tastes really good.
Well, that's what's important, right?
So that's what,
We are your health
that's what I'm drinking.
podcast. For all your health questions, feel free to ask any of us. We're all pretty experts in the field of health.
We have some answers.
Yeah, we have the
Well,
answers.
combined, we have all the answers.
Totally.
Yeah, it's
Jeez.
it's funny that we brought up protein shakes, and my grandmother used to drink Ensures, the like chocolate ones, and she'd keep them at her work, and I would go with her to work when she'd watch me, and so I'd always want to drink them because they just tasted like chocolate milk to me, and I was like a little kid, I didn't know. That's funny. Full circle.
So Anthony, you wanted to talk about current events?
Yeah, I think there's some important things going on in the world that we need to discuss and just talk about. Let's see, where to start? First off, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. My favorite show of all time has got to be Avatar: Last Airbender.
Mm-hmm.
And the creators and Nickelodeon announced that they have made a studio just for Avatar content, and they're going to be coming out with a new show, maybe some new just material in general, maybe some movies, but on top of the Netflix, live action, because the creators left that project, last summer.
Sadly.
And now Nickelodeon is giving them their own kind of studio and space to make their own show and stuff. So I'm just if you guys have heard about this, or what is your thoughts on this?
I have. It's a whole universe waiting for rich storytelling. I'm so excited. I really have high hopes for it.
I have not heard
Yeah.
about this, and my mind is kind of blown right now that this is
Yeah,
actually
no,
happening.
it's exciting. I don't think there's any really information on what they plan to do necessarily, but it's just, they have been very vocal. The creators, Brian and I forget their names, but the two creators, they have been very involved in the community ever since, and they're always still making comics and different related pieces of information for the fans. So I know they're passionate about it, and I'm sure they'll give us something that they are proud to make. What would
Absolutely.
you guys want? What would you guys want to see?
Oh man, I was just about to ask, like, what time era do you think they're gonna put in the show? Do you think it's gonna be kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender era, or Korra
Well, that's
era,
what's really
or post?
glorious about it is that in Avatar, they have so many generations of stories to tell before Aang, and they all have their own conflicts, and you can keep going into the future, absolutely. And I would love to see more in the era of Korra and forward, because that was very, very fascinating as well, with combining qualities of modern day with, bending techniques and stuff. But I would love more stories going back as well. I think there's a lot to be had.
Yeah. I guess I would love to see the story. It doesn't necessarily have to be Aang, but the story between the end of Last Airbender and the beginning of Korra, because there's this whole world that is transformed, and then they recall back to it through like some visions about like Aang and Katara and Toph, and I guess and Sokka, but like we didn't get to see them grow up. We just get to know that Aang dies, and like that's
I think
it.
the comics go into it a bit more.
Really
Yeah,
like
there's a
to
lot
see
of
how
the
that
comics. I don't
happens.
know if you've read any of them or know too much about them, but they go into some stuff into the comics. Of course, like finding Zuko's mother and kind of the foundation of Republic City and things like that. Haven't read all of them, but I know there's a good amount of stuff out there. I looked up their names actually because I need to know what their names were. It was Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. I knew their names, I had forgotten them, so I had to look it up. But yeah, the two creators, and I admire their passion for it and just how much they've given back to the community. And they were brave enough to step away from Netflix if it didn't meet their vision originally.
It makes me wonder where that show's headed.
Yeah, and it's very on the fence. I know not a lot of people are too excited for it, but I don't know. I have high. I wouldn't say I have high hopes, but I'm excited to see what they do with it, no matter what.
I'm sure it'll be better than the other live action movie.
I think, have you guys heard with Katara and Sokka, they swapped the older siblings?
That's just not right.
It's like small things like that. Like, it's just why, but we'll see what they do.
Unnecessary.
And as far as what would I like to see in terms of new stories to be told, I know a lot of people want to see like Kyoshi and things like that, like kind of stories on that end. And there's some books of those too, and I've read the first one. But I think it'd be cool just to even kind of have something detached from the main line and just kind of go back in the past of just a story that's not really connected at all to what we know. Just kind of tell a different story would be fun as well.
Yeah. Just visually remembering back to the Last Airbender, they visually show hundreds and hundreds of avatars before Aang.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool if they had like just kind of a smaller anthology kind of series.
Like an hour-long episode dedicated to an avatar in the world they live in.
Something like that, or maybe even a smaller mini-series. It doesn't have to be one episode, but yeah, I think something like that. Like
I mean,
size.
Yeah, correction. I mean a whole series, but just each episode focuses on a new avatar. That would be really cool.
Either or. Yeah, totally. I had one more topic that I think is kind of exploding over Twitter right now, and I want to know what you guys thought of it. And if you're not familiar, I'm gonna send you guys a photo in chat right now, just so you guys can have a reference of what I'm talking about. But
It better not be Pokemon.
no, it's not Pokemon. But
We'll
if you
get to
don't
that
know,
then.
there's a big thing going on
Oh.
with Space Jam
Oh.
2.
Ugh.
Specifically the character of Lola Bunny. A fan favorite, if you will, for a lot of people growing up in the show. And the redesign has been shown of what she's going to look like in the new Space Jam 2 movie, starring LeBron James. And I just want to know what were you guys' thoughts and opinions on it? Do you have a connection to Space Jam 2 or to the original Space Jam? Was that a movie that you cherished? And how does this affect your, daily life now, knowing this?
You're baiting me.
I loved Space Jam 1.
It's a classic.
And I can't tell you how many times I watched that movie. But I think it's phenomenal. Maybe it's a little sexist at times, but whatever, man. It's times change. Times
Sure.
change. But Lola, I think what they're doing is fine. I think it's definitely a statement, and probably I don't know. Like, what do you think is going on? What do you mean?
Listen, character design is important, and redesigns should be taken with utmost care. And if a character and their persona are not reflected in their character design, then change it to better reflect it. And I didn't watch Space Jam enough times to give a full opinion on Lola specifically, but it's not the same by any means as the Sonic redesign I would compare it to, where that was greatly needed. These two look similar enough to me to where I wouldn't get too upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Space Jam 1, she was extremely hypersexualized.
Yeah.
She literally all she was the turn on for Bugs Bunny pretty much the whole time. And she had like a small part to play in the movie. And it was good, but it was like, did they really need her to be this hypersexualized rabbit?
Well, and here's the thing too. With that said, the Looney Tunes shows on Cartoon Network, I think, the Looney Tunes shows that aired in like the 2000s and the 10s, that Lola has such a dominant role in the show that you would think that they would pull from that. I think it would make more sense to try to reflect that iteration of Lola because it's a more recent one and because there's more to go off of from the character. But I guess if you're trying to do, like, I don't know how continuity works for Looney Tunes, but if you're trying to directly sequel the first Space Jam, then who knows? They might not reference TV shows and other things, other adaptations. I don't know.
One of the top comments, in Twitter for this right now is, how am I supposed to beat my meat to this?
That's
exactly what I was meaning. Like, she doesn't need
I think
to be
where a lot of
this sexual character.
no, obviously,
agreed.
But
But that's where the controversy comes from.
In the original Space Jam, there's scenes where it's like Bugs goes up to Lola and he calls her doll, and then she takes offense to that and like dunks on his face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily that it's part of her character that she is this sexualized thing, but she's not ashamed of it. She's prideful, of it, in fact. And it just seems like the creators do they think that people are going to be going crazy in the theater when they see Lola and can't control themselves? And
I think if they had kept it the same and her design was the same, or made it more into the opposite direction, we would have seen similar backlash from the other side.
totally
That it's unnecessary in a kid's movie to have a character be hypersexualized. And, honestly. I'd rather have a good story with good writing than primitive tools.
I think, yeah, you have to understand this from the producers and the director's perspective. Like, what are they supposed to do here? They're in a tough spot. Like, they're not gonna.
It's a different era, it's a different time, different standard in the movie industry.
Do you guys plan on seeing Space Jam 2?
I probably
Knowing-
will.
Yeah, probably.
Will you?
We'll see. I mean, I don't know. They kind of deface, Lola like that. I can't really support a company that takes away the girl.
Changes it up. Okay, so speaking of redesigns that get our feathers ruffled, Pokemon Gen 4, I'm excited for it until I look at it.
I don't know what you mean. I really don't know what you mean.
It is
Like, were you just expecting more from a remake? Like
Heart
the
Gold and Soul Silver
the,
perfectly encapsulate what it's like to play the previous games, and they don't change it stylistically in a way that
What do you mean, Heart?
If I
Gold,
could
Soul
elaborate,
Silver?
Tanner. John is saying it looks dog crap bad.
Yes.
It looks awful. All right.
they didn't need to make it 3D is all I'm saying. They're great games. It's a great world. They should have left the 3D Sinnoh region to Arceus because that game looks beautiful and I'm excited for it, but it's something new. It's not a remake or a rendition of another game, and I don't think it works. I don't want to see chibi characters. I don't want this weird 3D animation for Gen 4. It's just weird.
So, like, what about the Omega Ruby or whatever those ones were, the Sapphire and Ruby remakes, where it was like it just came out when X and Y was coming out, so it was like the taller, non-chibi 3D characters. Like, would you rather have had that?
Yeah. I would rather have that over this, but I would still prefer
Yeah, I would agree.
a cleaning up of the 2D style that complements the game. And, I don't think it works.
Like, point out something specific that you say looks bad.
The chibi characters, the shortened little, what are they called? Little people? Those little people toys? They look like little people. Have you not seen it?
I mean, I'm looking at it now, but like,
I didn't think the battles looked too great, or the
Yeah, it looks
even
like an iOS game.
the background
something.
as well, like the landscape.
It doesn't look good.
I mean, I
There's
guess.
just something off about it. Maybe it's because it's not been made in 3D that it's weird to me, but I don't like it. I don't know if I'll play it. I probably will for a little bit, probably play through it once maybe, but if you're going to remake a game, you should remake a game that's enjoyable and you'll want to play it. And
I like Gen 4.
I love Gen 4, but if this is just a shoddy cash grab remake and they're like, we're going to make it 3D, I'm not going to play it more than once just to like re-experience it. If I wanted to replay Gen 4, I would just go play Gen 4 and go find a DS and find a copy of the game,
Yeah, I think that's just a problem
yeah.
with I think Pokemon games now. They haven't innovated enough. They've kind of stuck to the same formula.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that Arceus, what's the preface? Legends Arceus
Yeah.
has potential if they do the open world RPG or open world Pokemon game, and it's a hit. They could keep doing that. They should keep doing that.
Or what about Pokemon? What is it? Pokemon New Snap, or what do they call it?
Don't even.
The fact that I don't know the title. Ugh.
Don't worry about it.
Nintendo needs
Let's
to
not
work
talk
on their
about
titles here, man.
I mean, it is a tried and true formula, but they've made a lot of games. I don't know how much longer it'll work, and so it makes sense that open world is the next step for them. It would just be so much more fun to be able to run around and catch Pokemon and then find the gyms and do all of that. I mean, and that's why I'm equally excited for Breath of the Wild too, is that it's a fantastic and beautiful game, and you get to do what you want, and you get to choose to be the hero. You have to actually sit down and go save the world, and that's fun.
Yeah. On that note, are there any games that you guys are playing right now, or any games you are excited for?
Oh, End of March, Binding of Isaac Repentance. I'll be hunkering down and locking myself in for 400 hours of that game.
I'm not really looking forward to anything right now. Partly because I haven't been looking. I've been too busy. But, I mean, me and you have been playing Valorant a lot.
Yeah,
That's
it
been
just came out of nowhere. It's got in this Valorant phase, man, and it's so hard. It's so hard to play. People are so good.
For those who don't know what Valorant are, it's totally not me. This is for the audience. What is Valorant and how do you play?
Yeah, sure. It's not for you, of course. It's for the audience.
Yes.
It's pretty much it's a tactical shooter, combining like CS:GO and Overwatch, where there's two teams 5-on-5, and there's an objective you have to do, and each character, or they're called agents in Valorant, but each agent has their own like abilities and different play styles, and you try to eliminate the other team or beat the objective, and it's first to 13 wins, so you play multiple rounds.
I like that.
Yes. So the goal of building a team, getting a good team, is making sure everybody knows how to play with each other, play off of each other's skills and their abilities.
Strategize.
And strategize, but also just be good at shooting on a computer. Just another curve.
It's so crazy. Like, you have games, when we were kids, what were the games that, you felt like you were really good at growing up? Like, me personally, I felt like I was pretty good at, like, Call of Duty Zombies growing up. I feel like that was just a game I kind of played a lot and got pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm. I never played a lot of first-person shooters. I lived in a pretty strict household, so Nintendo was my upbringing, and story-based games or like Mario Kart racing games and stuff. I did eventually get into Halo, and I really enjoyed that. So I guess I did play some, but in the later years. But yeah, I'm really good at playing puzzle-based games. I think that's my strong suit, or just story-based games.
Yeah, for me it was like Call of Duty. More so towards my like later teen years when I finally started taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. But there was a time where I was like, hey man, like I feel like I can make an impression, and if someone really wanted to like make a team, I would probably like accept. But that ended pretty quickly.
What I'm going with this is like, when growing up, we were cracked at like Call of Duty, and Mario and Pokemon. Dude, kids these days, man, they're cracked at Fortnite and Valorant. Those are crazy games to be cracked in. Like, the amount of skill required to be good at these games is insane. It's not the shooting in Call of Duty versus...
There are kids who are professionals in first-person shooters that haven't even, like, gotten to middle school yet.
Kids are cracked, man. This is ridiculous. What the heck? I'm just here trying to play my game, Valorant, a game a day or something, and I'm just getting one-tapped in the skull, and no reaction to this. Like, what is going on? Let me enjoy this free game. I downloaded it too.
Does the game have a ranking system to help facilitate playing?
Yeah, and your boy is chilling at, like, the lowest ranks right now. Don't you worry.
Oh no. Yeah,
it's definitely just a learning curve. I don't understand. I really think that it just has to do with just being a kid. They don't have to worry about anything else except being good.
True.
They have the free time after
Lame
school.
Kids, man, they got nothing better to do than be good at some game, man. True.
Yeah, I just got too much work. I can't put in the hours.
Try getting a job, freeloaders.
So I did play Heist. Sorry, I played Payday a lot. Payday 2, that was a fun one. I really liked the style of gameplay, and I liked that it was strategy based. I just never had a group of friends who played it with me, so I could never like get really good in that sense. But I love like bank robbery, heist games and stuff where you have to work together. It's more cooperative. I don't remember if it had a version where you could play against other people and they were playing as the cops or anything, but that would also be fun too. But I imagine you're just getting into the territory of, what's the game called? Clancy's Rainbow Six. Is that the one?
The Division as well. Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe it's also that.
But yeah,
There's
Rainbow
there's
Six
a
Siege
like
was
6v6 small, skirmish sort of games and strategizing and stuff. Also sounds like Valorant too, just different context of the themes.
You know, Rainbow Six seems like something I want to stay away from.
I don't know
Yeah.
too much about it.
You know what? It's all coming back to me now. I do play a first-person shooter, and it's actually a third-person shooter, and it's Star Wars themed. That little old Battlefront game is pretty fun, I must say.
Talking about Battlefront 2, man.
Yes.
Oh boy. They stopped supporting it right a little while back. Right, like
Yeah.
there's no more updates and stuff for that. That's a whole nother topic to go into.
Hey, are we talking about OG Battlefront 2 or like
New
Battlefront
Battlefront 2, because I got into it in high school and later, so the most recent stuff. And for me, that I know I'm not exposed to the quote better ones, but it was enough for me to have fun until the people that were playing were max rank and doing the headshots and stuff.
That's another
and it's
topic
just like,
about like just different game genres and what they've done, to make money post launch, whether it's like DLC or loot boxes and things like this, different methods and kind of how it's evolved over the years.
mhm. We'll have to save that one and make it extend it to a full episode. Our criticisms of game companies and their tactics for making money.
Oh man, yeah, we could definitely drop a lot in the last couple of years. I think it's just been getting worse with the whole monetization of skins and loot boxes,
Microtransactions.
But that's for another day. That's for next time. I think kind of as a final remarks, kind of want to hear what you guys, what's something you guys are looking forward to or something that you're proud of that you've accomplished in the last couple of weeks. Just something to end off. I think for me, something I'm proud of, like I said at the beginning, like all the finals and things like that are going on. So besides that, I think, you take the small victories where you can get them. And I've been playing a lot of chess recently, and my elo is starting to climb. So I'm excited for that. And so,
What's it at?
I'm at a strong 900 right now, just dominating, no one stands a chance right now.
There you go. Next thing you know, you're at 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I might have to make my own elo category right now because my skill is just getting a little too out of control. But you take those where you can get them. And something I'm excited for, again, trying to keep it a little bit light. I've been really, really digging Attack on Titan. And every Sunday there's a new episode that comes out. So I am pumped every Sunday for these new episodes.
You're caught up?
Oh yeah.
Goodness.
I am caught up.
Tanner, I know you've been a fan of Attack on Titan. Are you caught up as well?
I'm not caught up. I have so many animes under my belt that I just keep dropping, and then I get back to them like 6 months to a year later, and then I drop them again for a while.
Me and Jenna are almost done with Toradora, and I am impressed. I've been enjoying it. With that said, though, real fast, I lost it. We were talking about
What's something
Attack
that
on
you're
Titan.
proud of? What's something you're proud of, and what's something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, but I was gonna go off of what you guys said. WandaVision. Oh my god.
I was just thinking about that too.
I didn't finish
Okay.
it yet. I didn't finish it
You
yet.
didn't finish it
Oh,
yet? All right, well,
dude.
you can mute for this part, Tanner. So
No.
John, so what up?
Yeah, we got to talk about that soon. Hopefully next episode we'll be able to talk about it, and that'll be far enough in the future that people will have seen it, I hope.
Yo, okay, so speaking of chess and kids being cracked at games, I tutor, and there's this one kid, and he is phenomenal. He is a genius, and like he is I don't tutor him. He like he's getting ahead in calculus. He started taking calculus, and I'm like, oh, what are we working on? And he's like, oh, I'm just getting ahead in my class. He's like 3 chapters ahead of his class right now, and he's breezing through calculus.
Ooh.
And
Correct.
I don't know how he does it. And then we were talking, and I was playing chess one time, and he was like, oh, you're playing chess? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm like a 1200. And he was like, but I haven't played in a really long time. And I'm like, I'm just starting on the 16.
Oh no.
And I was just like, dude, this kid, like, he's literally like 16, and he makes me, he's almost 18, I think. But he's just like,
That's just
I
it
don't
with kids,
get,
man.
like,
They
some
absorb
people
so
are
much.
just
Well,
geniuses.
you just got to remember, I think it's about what you prioritize and spend your time on. It's just he's chosen to study and chosen to play chess.
Play us
That's
in
just, those are
Valorant
his
sometime.
hobbies and passions. Yeah, that's crazy. For me,
Yeah.
I've been, working and doing school. I'm doing pretty good in my class, which is nice. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. I think I want to pursue more classes in biology and science and chemistry because they interest me just to learn. I don't know what I would do with a biology degree other than keep researching and exploring in the world of science. But, it's a lot of fun. And musically, I've been hunkering down on the physics and everything, hunkering down on the physics of music and music theory, how it all works, learning about relationships harmonically and also song structure. So hopefully that'll all translate in better music over time.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think right now some of my big accomplishments is I'm getting ahead from what's in my life. I typically don't study to get ahead. Typically I lag a little bit. But right now, I got, I think, like a B plus or an A-ish on my last midterm that I did for one of my hardest classes, and I've been reading a quantum mechanics textbook because I'll be taking it next semester, so I've been trying to get ahead on that, and just really trying to like crack down on the holes in the math that I've been learning over the years, and I could definitely see it starting to take form, that like I'm able to think about problems and like just much more deeper understanding in terms of mathematics.
One thing that I've learned from trying to learn things is that you really can learn so much about a topic by learning something completely different and finding relationships in the real world and how the things combine and relate. Everything seems so intertwined. It's uncanny.
Well, thanks guys for sharing about your lives and all that. I think this is what that show should really be about. It's just about us, like, not really, just talking to the audience, but being able to catch up on each other, because I think being able to hear your guys' stories and your guys' lives makes me feel more comfort in my own, to know that I'm not alone. I'm not the only one struggling here. Like, we're all going through similar things, and I think that's what really helps me get day to day and helps me relieve my own stress.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for sharing with me, and thank you for everyone who's listening. Definitely listen to the outro. It's only about 30 seconds to a minute.
No, but I do also appreciate the listeners, and you guys are hopefully getting something out of this too, as much as we are,
But we all can't be positive. I don't appreciate the listeners, all right? So
No.
I hope to never see you
Enough
again.
of that. After editing the podcast for so long, last episode, or was it episode 2? I think it was episode 2, the board game one. Jacob literally says, "See you later, losers."
Till next time.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Goodbye.
Uncontextualized spoiler. I feel like life can throw a lot of stuff at us, and a lot of it just accumulates into stress.
I think when you're stressed, it's very important to just kind of take a step back. Whatever is causing you stress, really just kind of internalize it and think, why is it giving you stress? Is it because of a time constraint? Is it because of a performance issue? So just really take a step back and analyze why you think it's giving you stress and step away from it. Do something else in the meantime and just internalize it. Let your mind either go free or think about it in the background while you're doing other things.